On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, Matt and Nick will give the fans what they want because it's time for Star Wars What If? What scenarios will they cook up, and what would Star Wars be like if they were ever turned into animated series? All of this nonsense and more, so you don't want to miss out. And of course, they'll end the show with the question of the week responses and the latest round of top 5 Star Wars fan artist features. Punch it, Chewie.
Hey now, everybody! Yo, B-Mad, Johnny, Ben, and we got Jackson in the vertical stream. Jackson getting a little impatient. Must be new here. Hopefully you stick around. We are slow. We are stupid. Okay? Franz Haas, no to you too. Is that how you say hello in Germany? Franz, welcome to the show. Get some. If you stumbled over here, it's not our fault, so don't take it out on us, right? Star Wars is getting lame, and this is a bad idea. Is it, Franz? Well, you know what? People named Franz are getting lame, and you're a bad idea. What do you think about that? Go ahead and have fun spreading your pee-pee over here. It ain't going to fly, Franz. This ain't Star Wars theory. This is Star Wars time. Welcome. Yep. Mm-hmm. Have some fun.
Yeah. If this was a new idea, then it could be a bad idea. We've been doing this for 10 years, Franz.
So it's all right.
It's been a bad idea since day one.
There you go. Jackson is saying Star Wars is the best. So we got two new people. Franz hates us. Jackson, little unsure. Jackson, that is, little unsure. But at least digging Star Wars. So welcome everyone to a brand new, fresh and live episode of SWTS. We got some fun things to talk about today. Our main topic is we're going to present 10 Star Wars what-if scenarios. If you don't know what we're talking about, we're channeling what the MCU has done with its Marvel characters over the past few years. I think there's 3 seasons of it. You could argue the quality of the seasons and some of the episodes and some of the what-ifs that the MCU has presented. But, you know, us Star Wars fans, we've always kind of been like, hey, why not us? Why not us? Let's do some what-if with that far, far away galaxy and see what we can cook up. So I have a feeling this could be a multiple part type of special topic. So today we just picked 10 what-ifs out of our behinds, the balloon knots, as you like to call them, Nick. And we'll riff on those. And we got some other things to talk about. Ask Us Anything coming up here in a second. Got some pop culture talk. Saw a pretty good movie. Saw a good concert that you might want to check out here before he leaves the States. And then we did a little service for our channel members. If you want to be a member, an official member, get your little Darth Vader cat next to your name in chats. With access to special emojis, don't forget we do offer memberships to the SWTS. You can check all that stuff down in the description. I know we're shills, we're beggars, whatever you want to call us, but hey, for $1.99, you can look pretty snazzy in our chat here. For example, check out League ripping off those custom emojis, okay? You know what we're talking about here? We only provide value to our members. All right, dude. So before we get into some pop culture stuff, why not talk a little bit about some Ask Us Anything? We got a few questions from the fan this week. If you want to participate, we typically post the prompt to our members on YouTube just because YouTube then makes sure that they see it. But we'll also put the prompt in our Discord, which is open access, Instagram, Twitter. You just got to be following and see what's going on. Jackson, I like that goat. Jackson's got some sort of mushroom or goat on acid emoji.
There you go.
Very nice. Very nice. All right, let's go ahead and get the Ask Us Anything up there, Nick, and see what the fans were looking to glean from us this week. We are, very enlightened individuals. We do know pretty much everything. So that's why we allow our fans to ask us anything. So let's go ahead and get things switched up here on the screen. if you do want to play along on the live stream and you've just been a podcast only listener of the SWTS, Wednesdays, 5:30 p. East, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. All right, Nick, first one coming up from League Extraordinary Sixers on YouTube asking, if you were to live your life as a vampire, what would you do with your time?
Okay, so this is actually kind of a funny question to ask at this point because Taylor and I have been watching the old sci-fi show Being Human, and that's a show about a vampire, a werewolf, and a ghost living together and trying to be as human as possible. Here's what I'll say. Out of those three, vampire's the worst. By far. Vampire's the worst by far. Because you live forever. Every day sucks because you need to either kill people or steal blood. And you literally have to like meld with the time that you are now going into. So it's like if you were turned into a vampire in 1885 and now it's 2025, you got a lot of shifting to do. So here's what I would say. If I were a vampire, what would I do with my time? I would find something that I would probably be a writer, because I feel like that would be the most appropriate thing for a vampire, because you have experienced so much history and so many things in your life that you would have a lot of cool stories to tell. So either a writer or like a movie, like a film creator.
Yeah, so I would learn how to play the guitar and become the best guitar player in the galaxy, but I would also use my immortality to build up immense levels of wealth and power, and I would take over the entire planet. I would become the Illuminati, and then I would start controlling what happens on Earth. Everything would funnel through me. Everyone would have to bow down to me. Even the oligarchs of the world, I would be the chief oligarch. I would essentially become the Lord of the Earth. Thank you. Okay. I love power. Okay. I love it. All right. This one, Nick, you're going to have to sit out on because like last week, Sir Dork is being a bit discriminatory in his question here. But Sir Dork is asking, Matt, how has your recent return to toy photography been going? Not bad. I didn't do it last week. Probably won't do it this week. So I don't know if it's a full return, but I at least got all those damn figures off my desk, and I don't have that agita kicking around my head of like, oh, look at all those things. Look at all that money. Oh, I got to take pictures. But honestly, Jared, I probably should do it a little more regularly because this guy just showed up. Palpatine, Hot Toys Palpatine from Clone Wars with his, purple and blue, his I'm going to go kill the Maul brothers get up. And, Nick, it's one of those things. It's like, if you have one, just take it out of the box, take the picture, put it away. That way we don't start stacking up, a stock here, almost like a FIFO system. Okay. First in, first out. So, Jared, you're probably not, I'm glad you're asking. I'm editing. I'm not sharing anything. I don't know what that means. I don't know if I lack confidence in my...
You're dipping your toe back in. You're taking it
Nick, I probably have like 30 shots to share, and it's just like I've gotten too damn lady coming, or too damn lazy to post them on IG. Letty, I've just disliked sending hate from Australia. All right.
Nice.
There's a lot of angry people today. Welcome to the cast. We love you, Letty.
Good to see you,
but
Letty.
Whatever is up your ass today.
But honestly, if you're giving us a thumbs down from Australia, you're upside down anyway. So for us, that's a thumbs up, buddy.
Go ahead and flush your toilet a few times and watch it rotate the different direction than ours. But listen here, you're not going to fluster us. If anything, I'll just yell at you. All right. So I really don't care if you've disliked Letty. We dislike you and most of your family. All right. There you go. This is the Vader hoodie, and I want to do a PSA on this piece of shit. And I'm sorry to all you that bought one because I said to get them. This could be one of the suckiest Columbia Star Wars collection things ever. It might look great. But this thing, Nick, it already has runs in it from a fucking guitar strap. Okay?
That's crazy. I mean, I feel like it's that type of material. Like, that type of material seems like it degrades faster
it's like, yeah, you can like see through it, and it's like the guitar strap is imprinted now. I mean, I've already bought two. Can't give this one away, so I'm just going to have to wear it. What am I going to do? It's disappointing. Nick is correct. Hopefully they go back to like full cotton sweatpant traditional hoodie material next year, because while these look cool, the quality is ass. All right. Letty. Can you think about like what sort of hole do you have in your life, Nick, to just randomly stumble on a live stream and just instantly hate it and be like, I hate all of you guys? Like, wait, what sort of day do you think Letty was having? You know what I mean? Like,
I don't care about his day.
It's unbelievable. Like, it's people are just so terrible. Hey, look at this. Star Wars Nerd 00, a new channel member getting in on the fun, asking a question here. All right, Nick, going to you. Pick two of your favorite movies. You're forced to remove one from history and memory. Which one do you choose? I like this.
Oh man, that's tough. I mean, two of my favorite movies. I mean, I'm not going to pick two Star Wars movies, so maybe it would be like Jurassic Park 1 and probably Empire Strikes Back. And if I was picking one, I would probably say that Jurassic Park 1 would be gone, but it's such a good movie. I don't know that, but yeah, I mean, since my other movie is Empire, then Empire's got to stick around, right? But
I hear that.
Yeah, so maybe it's JP. Maybe it's JP gone.
Oh, dude, we're getting some awesome people in here. This ex-sister Nero. Hey, Matt and Nick, you guys ever think about kissing each other? Yeah, all the time. I mean, we can't, but like, look, I'll try to kiss him through. I'm trying to lick his ear. Unfortunately, we're not in the same room. But if we ever get together again, we'll definitely make out and film it for you, ex-sis Nero. Okay? Or ex-sis Nero. I will go play with my Star Wars figurines, Letty. Why don't you go have some fun? Go smile at yourself in the mirror. All right, so
we have limited time.
Yeah, that's right. My favorite, two of your favorite movies. You're forced to remove one from history. Okay, I'll go Return the Jedi, and then I'll go The Matrix 1. And that was going to be my other one.
I
will get, I guess I would have to delete The Matrix. You know what I mean? So, there you go. Now all I can think about is making out with you. So, I am definitely consumed with that. All right, here we got one from League. If you were to live your... Oh, what the hell is that? I must have put that one in twice. Here's Abigail. If, like a cartoon character, you had to wear the same outfit forever, what outfit are you wearing and why?
Oh, geez, that's another freaking hard one. I mean, I would probably wear like jeans, like a graphic tee, and then like a zip up hoodie that I could kind of move in and out of.
Okay. I think I'm going to wear a full on space suit. Just because people be like, what the hell is wrong with that guy? And then, maybe I'd become like, this internet thing. And like all these other idiots that stream and make tons of money for literally doing nothing. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm looking at. All right. Scion XTC, what are the chances of bringing back the top picks bracket? I don't know what he's talking about, but...
Oh, yeah. That was like the old like versus brackets that I used to do. Like force users, force user brackets or something like that. I mean, maybe I'll try to cook up a bracket for the March Madness time and then put out the votes on the old IG. The problem is that when we did it last time, we had our account that had 16,000, 17,000 followers. Now our Instagram account only has 1,500
it's
followers.
Dead. I mean, our IG presence is dead, like most of our socials. But yeah, IG is just it's a black hole.
Yeah. So that's the main issue there, is that we don't have the following that we did. So like it's hard to have a bracket where you're only going to have 15 people voting on things. Maybe we could do it to where we could share the vote in the Discord channel, because there's more people that might see it in there, but even then it's still
yeah, we'll have to figure out some sort of external polling site, and just pop the link out. You know what I mean? I'm sure
I know
something,
that
or
there
like
was
we
something
could
like
create
that,
one of
yeah.
those tier maker things. I don't know. We'll figure something out.
I know
Scion.
I know some sites that can do like voting polls or something like that.
Yeah,
So
that's probably the
maybe
way to
we'll
go.
explore that
Yeah.
this time around and see if we can figure something out for another bracket challenge.
Yeah, I mean, you never know here. You can ask, we'll try our best, but we are kind of stupid, so you gotta bear with us, people.
Mhm.
All right, I think I'm gonna stick with red light today. All right, what else we got? Bat's asking, what if we're gonna handle the what if Qui-Gon survived in the what if, but I like this one. What if George never sold? Real quick, what do you think?
I mean, we wouldn't be here for sure,
Yeah.
and I don't think that there would be any Star Wars content. I think that he was burnt out, and that's kind of what he said when like even before the sale, when he was doing interviews, is that he just didn't have the desire to make the content anymore, whether it was because of public perception and sentiment or anything like that, just feeling burnt out. But yeah, I mean, I don't think we would be here.
No,
That's for sure.
I think at best, Dave and him may have continued some of the animated stuff. They probably would have finished out the Clone Wars on George's terms, and I do think Rebels was probably an idea before Disney bought it. I don't think Disney fully championed that. But yeah, I don't think he would have went back to making movies. I mean, hell, he shot a few hours of that live action TV show and was like, screw it. I don't want to do this. So yeah, I think he was done, honestly, and he was starting to give more and more responsibility and execution powers to Dave. I think it would have remained like that and mostly just been little animated projects at best. I don't think he would have ever made his 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah, he wouldn't have made 7, 8, and 9. I don't think that he would have. He already, and that's the thing is like, if he was going to do it, he would have done it. He already had them written. Like,
yeah,
he gave those.
I'm like Ben. I mean, 7, 8, 9. Who knows if they would have been any better? We all love George, but depending on your age and when you watch some of the movies, I mean, you might question some choices in the prequels, or hell, even in the original trilogy. So, I do agree with Ben though. The sequels would have had at least a more coherent plot, a more connected plot, because he would have been the main writer for all 3 movies.
Yeah, he would have been on the whole way.
And that was the biggest point with the sequel trilogy. And listen, we've said it 1,000 times. It was so dumb the way they decided to do it, and it is what it is. You can't put it back in the toothpaste tube. You know what I mean?
Yes, indeed.
All right. Looks like we got one more coming from Mando Mugshots. If you lived in the SW galaxy, what would be your occupation and preferred planet to live?
I would want to live on that planet in Skeleton Crew, that like pleasure planet.
Was it Lanupa or Lapu? I think Lanupa maybe.
Lanupa. Yeah, I would want to live on Lanupa, and I would want to be like a rich banker that's rich enough that I can just stay there all the time and not have to worry about like money.
Just hanging out in the mud baths with the banking clan and the huts.
Just constantly in the pleasure planet's grasp with all of my banking clan money. That's what I would want to do.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the easy answer is, I want to be, I want to be a Jedi, or I want to be a Sith, or I want to be in the Rebellion or the New Republic or the Empire. I don't know. This just randomly came to my head, and I'm like, why not? I would want to be a pod racing champion.
There you go. That's a good one.
And the planet, I'm not staying on Tatooine just because the Boonta Eve race is there. Although I would imagine, there's some good runs on that planet to train on a pod race. I'll be from Malastare with that other pod racer, I guess. Why not?
There you go.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's that. Little Ask Us Anything. Thank you for participating. Like I said, if you want to get involved, just make sure you're scanning the socials out there. You got notifications on and all that fun stuff. You know what I'm saying? All right. So, little pop culture talk before we get to our what ifs. I checked out a movie last week, kind of took a flyer on it. Had no real inclination what it was about. I'm glad I didn't really watch any trailers going into it. I'm talking about Companion.
Interesting.
Starring Sophie Thatcher, who has connection to Star Wars. She was part of the Vespa modders gang in the Book of Boba Fett. She was the redheaded girl there.
Everybody's favorite character.
Yeah, I know. And she was actually just in Heredity, which was another fantastic movie. But this companion flick, she's in it with Quaid's kid. And it's just really good. It's a really good movie. I don't want to give too much away. I think the poster already kind of gives some away. But let's say, it does play with the concept of artificial intelligence and stuff like that, and how they should be treated and how humans could use them, so on and so forth. But it kind of it unfolds into more than just that. There's more layers to just what do we do with AI people? And it's fun. I mean, there's some good lines in it. There's some good moments. It earns a pretty good R rating. It's not gory, over the top, crazy, but it's quality. It makes sense. Good acting, good characters, performances, all that fun stuff. So I was surprised by Companion. That was a nice little treat. Kind of cleansed the palate after that flight risk garbage I watched last week. Sorry, B-Mad, what I pulled your question, but I clearly must have forgot it or didn't include it. I thought I included it. If you remember, man, go ahead and lay it in the chat, and we'll definitely get to it, because you're an all-star. But Companion, good flick. Go check it out.
If it's the what if Obi-Wan denied Qui-Gon's death request one, I think it's just under the wrong area.
Well, no, he did question.
No,
yeah,
that was a different
he did
one.
question of the week, so we'll handle that in question of the week, buddy. I don't think you did ask us anything, so don't worry. But yeah, we got you for question of the week. I know that. All right, so Companion, go check it out this weekend. This week, I think if I can get some time, I'm gonna go check out that Heart Eyes horror movie that seems like it looks pretty good for Valentine's Day or whatnot. All right, one other thing, pop culture talking. This just happened last night, and I didn't really know what to expect, but I went and caught Hans Zimmer live in the local arena here in town, and holy shit, was that fun. If you like movies and you appreciate movie scores and composers and what they can do, I put this guy up there with John Williams in terms of just career, iconic themes from iconic films. I honestly don't. I mean, I think him and John are easily on Mount Rushmore. Maybe Howard Shore, just for his work in Lord of the Rings, gets up there too. But I really think Hans Zimmer is. I mean, he's amazing, and it was a fantastic show. Almost 3 hours. He hit a good part of Dune, some Inception, ended with Lion King, which was a really fun suite. He did my favorite Man of Steel theme, Dark Knight Returns, the Interstellar stuff. I mean, it was just a great evening, great laser light show. He kind of, yucks it up in between suites, and it's just fun. It was a fun show. Highly recommended if you're into this guy's compositions, or if you just like some of the films that he has helped to work on. I was surprised last night, Nick. He's like, you know what? Sometimes we set out to make art, and sometimes it ends up being a big pile of crap. And I'm like, oh boy, I wonder what movie he's talking about. But he's like, you know what? I still like the music. And he played this suite, and we're all sitting there like, what the fuck movie is this? And I can't believe he just shit talked the director. Because usually he works with, Chris Nolan and that ilk. And I finally looked up the set list this morning. It was Dark Phoenix. I was like, oh yeah, no, he's 100% right, dude.
Yeah, that Star or that Marvel Universe side from Sony for X-Men really went off the rails.
Oh yeah, I mean, he was not kidding. And honestly, when I heard his music and I didn't know what movie it was attached to, I was like, damn, this is a pretty good little cut here. And when I finally realized the film, I was like, oh yeah, he wasn't kidding. Sometimes you can have the best intentions to make something great and it just ends up being shit, but you might still appreciate your contribution to that shitty art. Unfortunately though, Nick, I don't think he's in the States for much longer. So check him out, check the tour dates.
I have to see.
Definitely a good time.
Nice. I have one thing to call out. If you haven't played Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, I just started playing that, and that game is super fun.
Okay,
super fun.
So you signed up for Game Pass, or did you is it on PC?
Oh no, I have it on PC.
Okay.
I have it on PC. Yeah, I put down Outlaws. It just didn't do it. Didn't do it for me.
All right. Fair enough. I've kind of paused my gaming too. I need to go back and finish the final mission or two of Outcast and just be done with that. Not that it's new. I just feel like if you start it, you might as well finish it. But I do. I think it's the Indiana Jones. That's been on my mind. The new Dragon Age has kind of been on my mind to give that a try. So now that you're saying that, it might have to go to Indy.
Yeah, it's really fun. I mean, I was super skeptical of that game having like a first-person action Indiana Jones game. I always thought that it felt more third-person style, like third-person action, kind of like Uncharted or Assassin's Creed. But Bethesda pulled it off incredibly well. I mean, that game feels so much fun to play. Troy Baker sounds so similar to Harrison Ford that it's hard to tell the difference. Fantastic stuff. Absolutely.
All right. Well, like I said, I'll probably be giving that consideration. That if I could do it right, and I know I won't do it right, so I'll probably end up overpaying. But really, on Xbox, you should just buy the month of Ultimate, whatever it's called, and get the game for free, and try to beat it within the month for $18. So, how much? What is it? Probably $80 straight up, right? 60.
I think
70?
It's the normal 70. Yeah,
right.
I think it's the normal 70, 60.
Yeah. So what? I could get like 3 or 4 months in, and then it wouldn't be a complete waste.
For sure. Yeah, if you can beat it in 3 months, then you would still come in under the normal cost.
Well, I might have to give that a go because I think my weekends are slowing down. The holidays are long past us. The Buckeyes aren't winning championships anymore. I don't have to go to Michigan. So, it might be a good time to start firing up some games. So, thank you, young Nick. Hey there, Star Wars nerd 00. Good to see you. And Mando Pirate, we're with you. Bethesda doing a Star Wars game. It seems like anything these days with the Star Wars license, it either gets bumblefucked or constantly delayed. You never hear about it again. So who knows, man? Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe one day. Maybe they can reskin Starfield to be a Star Wars game.
Dude, I would go back to, and I don't even think this genre is as popular as it used to be. I mean, do people still play StarCraft and shit like that, like those types of games?
RTS games really have fallen off.
Right, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a like the faction from Blizzard or the team from Blizzard that made StarCraft has spun off into their own studio, and they're making a new RTS. But honestly, that's really the only one that's in development out there is from that team.
Okay, so you're feeling what I'm feeling here, and it does. It feels like that genre has just died. And correct me if I'm wrong. It used to be massively popular because of StarCraft 2. I mean, I remember just watching people play that in tournaments or trying to do it myself. You know, the Zerg rushes and all the different crap you would do. But back to Star Wars, they actually made Star Wars games like that. There's Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds that had a Clone Wars expansion, and then there's Star Wars Empire at War. Galactic Battlegrounds I felt was more in the vein of StarCraft, where Empire at War, you know, it was a little more refined. Honestly, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the RTS genre got replaced by MOBAs. Like they got replaced by like Dota and Dota 2 and League of Legends and Heroes of the Storm and all those games.
You're not doing like base building and resource management in those, are you?
No, it's just like like essentially from what I could gather, like the professional players, like the huge one I've seen was Warcraft 3, and then Warcraft 3 spun off into Dota, and a bunch of the professional players from those scenes transitioned into MOBAs, and then that genre really blew up because it has that same kind of isometric type top-down view,
right?
But it's a little bit more action-oriented, and that kind of replaced.
I don't know. I guess I'm a super nerd, but I love the economic aspect of building bases, farming resources, and seeing who's got the better economy to build up the war machine to then go attack.
I mean, honestly, Civilization, that's the other one. Civilization has kept it going. Civilization is an RTS or, different style of RTS.
You're not really, I guess you could raid against humans in Civ, right? I mean, you can fight it.
There are multiplayer lobbies for civilization.
That's a damn good game. And I remember the first exposure I ever had to is when they made a specific one for the Xbox 360 to kind of bring it to the console. And holy shit, that I love Civ. Love it. That's fun stuff.
So
all right.
That's still out there.
Anytime, League, and thank you for segueing us into our next quick segment here. League is saying, thank you for the Dr. Aphra deep dive. She is a very dope character. What League is talking about is what you can see on your screen right now, or if you're listening, we have put out our Who is Dr. Aphra, Star Wars' infamous Darth Vader ally character lore deep dive. You can catch it on StarWarsTime.net or over at YouTube.com/StarWarsTimeShow. And what we do here is we have two artificial intelligence podcast hosts that fill the void when Nick and I are not talking live on Wednesdays. Their name is Scott and Sally. And we tend to feed them information on Star Wars characters, and they go into a deep dive discussion on them. We also use some of the resources to spit out kind of detailed character bios, FAQs. So, you know, those of you channel members out there, if you got characters you would like to see join this series, you never know if your request will be answered or not. Lee gets her request answered because she's top tier, Dark Lord of the Sith. So she has special access to us in Discord to kind of make suggestions. So there you go. When you pay the big bucks, you get the big shit done. So yeah, that's out there now. I just want to do a quick PSA on that. That's why we're showing it on screen. But now, Nick, it's perfect time to go ahead and transition into our main topic for this evening. And that is our 10 Star Wars what-if scenarios. Look at that. I even picked a background that felt kind of Watcher-ish, right? Doesn't that feel like the Watcher could be floating back in there? I tell you what, Nick, my design skills get better and better every week for an old 44-year-old white guy that has zero design training. So here we go, people. Like I said, you know, we were kicking the tires on this for a while. It's been on our rainy day special topic list. We saw all of you last week when we were talking about 6 animated projects we'd love to see kind of pop off on the what if stuff. And we're like, you know what? It seems they're kind of into this. So we just ran with it. And as I said earlier, this is probably a first part. I feel like we could probably do this once a month, once a quarter if we really wanted to, because we know a lot about Star Wars and we have lots of questions and what ifs. So these are the 10 we picked for this week. We're going to run through them, discuss what may or may have happened based on these scenarios, and go from there. And then we'll get to the question of the week where some of you fans also put in your preferred what-if scenarios. So without further ado, here we go. Of course, I should have just reloaded the page before I said that, but why would I ever trust technology to actually work at the SWTS? All right, Nick, and these are in no particular order. It's not like we're ranking any of these. We just laid them out there. One, we kind of lumped 2 scenarios together, but you'll understand. But for those playing at home, if you're not on the live stream, what we got on the screen is Mr. Master Mace Windu waving his purple lightsaber angrily at Palpatine. And Nick put this one up there. He wants a what if. What if Mace Windu only arrested Palpatine and did not want to kill him? So Nick, since you prosed it, go ahead, lay down where you think things would have went.
Yeah, it's an interesting point because I feel like that is the crux of what turns Anakin right there. That's the moment. If he just arrests him, it feels like there's really not a whole lot Palpatine can do, right? Like if Mace pulls the stand up, put your hands behind your back.
Anakin assists him, right? Anakin then assists him instead of cutting him up. Yeah,
so then Palpatine is imprisoned. He is exposed to the entire Senate as somebody who's trying to overthrow the government. The coup happens. But here's the thing. Order 66 may still happen. Like if he can still get Order 66 off, then what you have is an all-out war between the Jedi and the clones. And that would have been something that's super interesting to see. I think the Jedi may still come out on top just because they wouldn't be as caught off guard. And they would be able to get the word out quickly. Like, hey, be wary of the clones. There's a potential that they've been tampered with. We've arrested Palpatine. He was the Sith Lord all along, blah, blah, blah. And then you have this battle between the clones and the Jedi, obviously heavy losses. And then the Jedi come out on top. And then I feel like that is when Anakin fully becomes a member of the Jedi Council.
All right. So
he is a master.
I like it. I've got some other things to think about here. I mean, Gallard told us, we know this. I mean, Palpatine kind of laid down in this fight.
Yeah.
Do you think Mace and Anakin Skywalker could easily apprehend him, though?
I think they could have taken him. As much as he kind of went light. I feel like if Anakin and Mace were to go at him full force, they could probably handle him. Like they wouldn't come out unscathed.
Yeah, I'm thinking
they can handle him.
They may have to dismember him a bit, at least maybe chop his hands off so he's not shooting lightning at them nonstop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess 2-on-1, Mace pretty powerful, Anakin the chosen one. They could get it done, but I don't think it would just be, okay, you got me, go ahead and put the shackles on. And then let's say they do arrest him. How do they contain him? I mean, he is a Force god after all, so are there ways to dampen his powers, cells that, will block his Force? I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like, maybe that thing that we saw Dooku trap
there you go.
Obi-Wan Kenobi in episode
a ray
2
shield.
Just put him in some ray shield.
Float him in a
done.
Yeah, he's got to float and spin in a ray shield with cuffs and leg shackles. So I like that you brought up that point on 66. Like he could have just, as he's getting arrested, be like, Order 66, and it shit starts to carry off. But you'd think they'd be able to rescind that just as easy as it was put out. So I don't know. It's interesting, but I agree. I think if this does happen, Anakin remains good. Where things could get squirrely, though, if they do not put him to death by Senate trial and he is kept alive, I 100% see Anakin getting curious and wanting to go talk to this guy in his cell. And you never know what Sheev could do with some one-on-one dialogue with Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah, it's like you really have to keep him isolated forever if you're not going to put him to death.
Banned. Like he is not allowed. Yeah. You are a Jedi Master, but you are not allowed to see Sheev.
Off limits, bro. Off limits. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing is his power lie in his manipulation, not necessarily in his hand-to-hand combat. So it would definitely either be, okay, we'll arrest him now, but we're going to put him on trial to be put to death.
Anakin, by the way, you have to recuse yourself from everything.
Like you can't be here. We don't need this guy manipulating you from afar.
If you want his secrets, we'll beat the shit out of him and try to get him for you, but you are not allowed to talk to him one-on-one because it's probably not going to end well. All right.
Exactly.
Dig it. All right. So there you go. That was a fun one there. That's kind of how this is going to go, friends. So let's go to the next one here. And this is a twofer, so give us some time here. But we have Anakin kills Obi-Wan and vice versa. So we're talking about the battle on Mustafar. Nick, let's start with Anakin actually winning that fight. What goes down after?
I mean, if Anakin wins that fight,
does he at least ensure Obi-Wan is dead? Let's identify that, right? Like Anakin kills him.
Yeah, so they're both like in this scenario, Anakin cuts his head off. Like he is beheaded. Obi-Wan Kenobi is dead. I think that we are now in a situation where there was an inherent weakness within Darth Vader because of the loss of his wife and what he had become. I think that what would likely happen here is that obviously Anakin is stronger than he was in Vader form. He's absolutely unstoppable in terms of a powerful Force user. And he then may feel this level of hubris and anger towards Palpatine after his wife dies. He's like, you made me this fucking promise and she's fucking dead still. And then I think that he may try to go at Palpatine and still end up being like in a suit after that fight. I think that he could, like, because he's coming off of such a high. He's like, I just killed my master. I defeated him straight up in combat. Like, I'm gonna get everything that I want now. Like, my wife is gonna
he's got his knocked out wife who's almost dead on her ship he could take. He's got his droids because R2's there, C-3PO's there.
Yeah, and she still dies. But here's the thing, though. He would have. I wonder if he would have his kids. So if he was able to, if Padme still died, but he was able to save the kids, then he would have two progeny to bring up.
Yeah, I guess she does still die, right? Because I don't think she would love that he just killed Obi-Wan and is committed to his heel turn, right?
Yeah, like at that point, he has gone full evil. And the last interaction that she had with him was him fucking choking her out.
Yeah.
So, she's probably still going to die in childbirth, or if not, she is going to be like an unwilling prisoner under the captivity of Anakin Skywalker, and then he's raising their two kids as evil dark side Force users to eventually then usurp Palpatine.
I think you're spot on, man, because he said as much. He basically was saying that to Padme, like, listen, this is going to be our empire. You know what I mean? Like we will handle this shit. We will be in control. So I do think he immediately probably would, like you're saying, had those big hanging nuts down there and been like, all right, let's go. And who knows, maybe he was jacked up and maybe killing Kenobi increased his power even more and he shows up on Coruscant and takes out the boss. You don't know. But I do think Anakin's staying alive. Obi-Wan's gone. The Jedi aren't going to be able to influence him whatsoever. He gets access to his kids. I think he keeps them hidden because, like you say, he would probably still want to play the long game with Palpatine. If he doesn't take him out right away, I think he still bides his time. And then when the kids are ready, he springs the trap. And it's no longer the rule of two. It's going to be the rule of three, motherfuckers, because here come the Skywalkers. Yeah,
the twins in full dark side regalia and ready to fight.
Yeah, because he stays committed to the Jedi are evil, right? So it's not like he turns back. It's not like he goes back to being a baby face. I think he's committed to, I'm the best. We're going to do things my way. Get in line or die, right? I mean, I don't think. Yeah. I think he maintains that dark side edge, even though he's beat Kenobi and is potentially going to take out his master.
Yeah, and I think that like ultimately, if Palpatine doesn't kill him right away, like if Palpatine doesn't take control of the situation and off Anakin, I think that Anakin easily dispatches of Palpatine and becomes the Dark Lord of the Sith and reigns over the galaxy for as long as he can. Like
the question there is, though, like you said, if he doesn't get disfigured and end up in the suit, which I don't think he does. I don't think he fully becomes Darth Vader in armor. I think even if he takes on Palpatine, he might. Hopefully, he chooses not to do it on a fucking lava planet, right? We'll at least say that. So that should save him there. Maybe he gets a little damage, loses another arm or a leg, but I don't think he becomes completely disfigured and dependent on an iron lung.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but I guess then his wife's still dead, so he's still going to be angry and probably still figuring out ways to maybe bring her back to life. Is that his motivation to start going around the galaxy and terrorizing? I don't know if Anakin was ever the one that had the plan to just terrorize planets. He was just like, hey, this is my lot in life. I'll do whatever he says.
Yeah, I that's why I think that like he dedicates his life to his children, and like the goal being like, I may not be able to overthrow Palpatine now, but as he was as Vader in episodes 5 and 6, he's like, look, if it's me and you, Luke, we could take him out. It's us. Then we run the galaxy.
Right,
we run this.
If he does wait, then I do see him just kind of assuming the role and probably keeping the status quo of what Palpatine wrought throughout the galaxy. So I don't think he would ever become benevolent Vader again, especially if he had his kids the whole time and more or less program them to become dark side pimps. You know what I mean? So, all right.
Daddies.
So let's flip it around. I think we just went through, what Anakin would do if he survived. He would definitely go up to Obi-Wan's corpse, spit on it, and just for good measure, probably, stick him in the head a few times with his lightsaber. But let's do the opposite then. So let's say Obi-Wan actually does his job this time instead of worrying about my brother and all that stuff. He goes and ensures that Anakin is dead. All right, he sees him catch on fire. He's like, you know what? That's not enough. This guy, some people think he's the chosen one. God knows how he was born. Is he Force Jesus? I better make sure. And he goes up and he's like, shwaga, 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 shwaga. Literally, like, fucking kicks his head into the lava. He ain't coming back. All right, so Anakin Skywalker is fully off the map, Nick. What happens?
Yeah, I mean, it almost feels like it's kind of similar to what happened already, because Obi-Wan assumed he was dead. Like, that was the whole thing, is like when Obi-Wan saw Vader and realized that Vader was Anakin, he was surprised. He was like, "What? I killed him. Like, he's gone." So I feel like that way it almost doesn't change too much, because they're already in this position. Yoda and Obi, like, we lost. It's over. It's over. Even if Anakin is dead, it's still over. So I feel like the Obi-Wan angle of it remains similar to what had already happened. Like, they had already put out the call, all remaining Jedi, hide, go to the, like, don't reveal yourself, stay out of the light, whatever. The problem comes in with Palpatine. He doesn't have another apprentice, and there's not one readily available for him to take. Dooku's dead. Maul's dead.
Yep.
Anakin's
No, you're right.
dead.
I mean, he put all his eggs in the Anakin basket.
Yeah. So I think what may end up happening there is that he kind of, like, he has to start to train apprentices that he finds. So, like, Palpatine will then go on, like, a hunt across the galaxy, not for Jedi, but for apprentices. Like, he'll kind of do like what Luke Skywalker did, and looking for new recruits to the Jedi Academy. It almost seems like Palpatine is going to do something like that to try to find strong young Force users. So, like, the mission of the Empire shifts from total galactic domination and vice grip to apprehend as many Force sensitive children as you can to bring to me, so I can test them and train them to become my apprentice. Like that.
I think he has a way more difficult time implementing his agenda as quick as he did without Vader by his side, because Vader was his goon, essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, any bad shit he needed done, Vader was doing it, because he still had to, play the role of emperor, benevolent emperor, righteous emperor. So I think he does a lot of stuff in the shadows to find an ally again, and even then, it's not probably going to be the perfect ally. It's not going to be as powerful or as intimidating as a Darth Vader. So I think more Jedi get away and survive, presenting him more problems down the road. The Inquisitorius would be stunted without Vader there to train them and kill them and make them tough. Like I said, I really think, Nick, the biggest impact would be on the efficiency of hunting down and eliminating Jedi. I think that would go down drastically. It'd be way more difficult to get all the ones that survived Order 66, like Vader was tasked with doing for all those years right after the fall of the Republic. But I agree with the other points. I think Obi-Wan and Yoda, they're still like, I don't know. And maybe they see Palpatine on his own saying, "I lost my trusted advisor." Maybe that's like, oh shit. Okay, there's no one there with him. There's no black guy in a helmet imposed. Maybe he's not as powerful as we thought.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is that might empower the, like, Obi and Yoda to be like, hey, like, maybe we can, like, it's only him.
We got the one. We got the one. Now, if we go at the top with more than just one or another, we could probably get the
it's
boss.
Like, then they start to, put the call back out to the Jedi, like, use the hidden path in a way, not as to, like, sequester them and move them into safety, but like, hey, let's secretly start to reform. And then link up with the rebellion, and then we can, as a more formidable force, take out the Empire. I think the Empire's reign would be much shorter.
100%. I mean, most of the Force users that joined the Inquisitorius, they were kind of strong-armed into it. It's like, you want to die or do this? It's like, okay. And without a big hulking dude in robot armor, you're probably not going to get as many recruits. But like I said, I think, as Nick said, it would embolden the living Jedi even more to make another attack. All right. Dig it. What we got next here, young Nick? Well, here we go. The lovers. So, Nick, tell me what would happen if Padme Amidala, few years senior to the young Anakin Skywalker, she started to seduce him, you could argue, as far back as when he was 10 years old.
Yes.
Definitely laid it on thick in Attack of the Clones when he was around, 18, 19. So what would happen if Padme didn't seduce Anakin, or these two never became an item?
I think it's a happy ending for everybody, right? Like, nothing bad happens. Palpatine just melts into the background. All is good with the universe because Padme does not seduce Anakin. No, I think what ends up happening is like Anakin has always Anakin was definitely infatuated with her, regardless of whether she reciprocated it or not.
Yeah, so it would take a little bit to calm his nuts down a little,
Yeah, like he would still pursue that, but I think with her being like, look, I'm a senator, you're
Back
a Jedi.
The fuck up, creep.
Yeah, this is just not going to happen. I appreciate the feelings that you have towards me. I don't feel the same way towards you. And then what probably ends up happening, obviously, there's no marriage, there's no children, there's nothing that tips him over into the dark side. So I think what happens is he dedicates himself to the Jedi Order in a more serious fashion, and the fall of the Republic, while it may still happen, and that's the thing, is the fall of the Republic is not necessarily contingent on Anakin, because they have Order 66 in place, and then you have so much force behind you. Like the seeds of the fall of the Republic did not hinge on Anakin Skywalker turning to the dark side. Like that, those dominoes still would have fallen. There were people inside of the Senate who were allied with Palpatine, as you could see in the films. You had the clones that were ready to go and have Order 66 take over. So the war happens, and it still comes to that head where it's like eventually Palpatine's going to pull that trigger. And I think it kind of devolves into a guerrilla style war where the Jedi are driven off of Coruscant and then have to regroup and retake the government and the galactic superstructure from the Empire, or from Palpatine's forces. But there's a lot more structure behind it. It's not going to be like this smaller rebellion that's going on.
Yeah, and you're going to be led by a superpowered chosen one.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm with you. I think, or be mad. I think Anakin achieves his potential, and he becomes the Jedi that Palpatine was fearing if he could never get him on his side, and he probably does fulfill the prophecy, Clone Wars or not. I think you're right to say that Palpatine would probably still leverage that shit, because it was in the works. Like Nick said, those clones were commissioned 10 years prior to Attack of the Clones. Essentially at the end of TPM is when they were made. So there's no way they're putting those back in the box. But like B-Mad, like Nick was saying, if you give an 18-year-old Anakin Skywalker all the time in the world to become great and the best Jedi ever, he's in it. He's committed. Yeah. He's probably still going to be brash and cocky and clash with management and Obi-Wan and Mace here or there. But he would just start becoming so powerful, so useful, reliable, that they would not be able to deny his prophecy. And I think they would kind of let him eventually almost go like Super Saiyan, and here we go.
Yeah.
Kill the dark side. We win. Cue the Ewok celebration.
Yeah, I agree.
So it really is So what does Padme end up doing? Does she go on to become the Chancellor then? Does she replace Sheev after Anakin takes him out? Anakin and the Jedi Knights?
I think that kind of makes sense. She was she was Queen of Naboo, moves on to be a very successful and well-loved senator. In the current timeline, she is one of the founding members of the the rebellion in the sense, or like the proto rebellion before the organization fully comes together. So I do think that she probably like almost like her daughter does, becomes like a general to the Jedi and rebellion forces that are going against Palpatine and the clones. Like she mobilizes in a way, maybe not on the battlefield.
Well,
but like
I mean, she handles the political
role.
side, and I was thinking the same thing. It's like, Nick, we could just basically say that these two become their kids. You know, Anakin becomes the Luke figure, the hero, the legend. She becomes the leader of men, women, aliens, the front face of this movement. But we're bringing up an even interesting thread we might want to riff on. These two never get together, then we do not have the twins. So what?
You don't have the
what
twins.
Does that mean down the road? Is Anakin able, as the chosen one, possibly, at the top of the Jedi table now, is he able to keep the peace, or we're not having his spawns eventually come and bite them in the ass?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's, as we've learned in the Star Wars galaxy, there's never a lack of conflict,
right,
even once you've taken the Empire out. I think that there's always going to be a cycle of peace and then war. So even if the twins never come about, you still have the possibility of strong Force users coming to bear as they normally do.
Maybe he makes a donation at the Jedi sperm bank, and someone just randomly gets it.
if he becomes Grand Master eventually,
he changes the rules.
He achieves. Yeah, he changed. That's what his dad did.
Yeah.
In a separate timeline in the expanded universe, it was, when Luke Skywalker becomes the Grand Master of the Jedi Order and reestablishes things, he's like, hey, guess what? You can do now. You can get married. You can have kids.
And you know why? Because of this redhead over here, and she is sexy.
Yeah.
Look at Luke. He goes right to thinking with his little head as soon as Mare shows up. You know what I mean?
I mean, essentially, what Luke did was like, He reestablished the Jedi Order. He looked at his dad's downfall and he's like, what caused my dad to fall? He couldn't get married. He couldn't have kids. And he couldn't learn about, he couldn't dabble in the dark side. Yeah. So he's like, guess what? I'm Luke Skywalker, Grand Master of the Jedi Order.
Right.
You can get married, you can have kids, and you can explore the dark side safely with observation and guidance from a trained Jedi Master. So
you definitely at all times have to have a dark side buddy whenever you're dipping into that stuff.
Yeah, buddy system. Gotta have the buddy system.
Gotta love it. As soon as Luke, he's like, hey, they're all gone, right? Screw it. Let's start changing rules here because I am horny. They're like, yeah, we don't want to become the Catholic Church of the Star Wars galaxy. So let's let these men and their pent up poison in their nutsacks have a bit of a release.
Let them
I mean, this one is, if you really think about the ripple effect on this one, I mean, you lose Han Solo, probably doesn't come into the mix,
Yeah, Han Solo stays in the underground.
We never meet Chewie and Han. I mean, there's probably never a Rebel alliance. So, I mean, the Wedge in them, they probably stay in the Academy in the Republic. You never have the Solo children. No Ben Solo or Jaina if you want to go to Legends. So, I don't know. It's interesting stuff there. And that's why we're doing it. Star Wars What If. If you're just tuning in, we're going through 10 what if Star Wars scenarios we would be interested in watching if Disney ever cared about what the fans wanted to watch. All right, Nick, so let's move on to the next scenario here. And we've got this one you cooked up here. Really, Nick cooked up a lot of these. He was ready to riff. Mm-hmm. Old Ben drops truth bombs from the get-go with Luke. So I think what Nick was saying, that instead of using the certain point of view excuse, old Ben, I mean, Nick, is this one Luke's a kid or we're still waiting until he's a teenager?
Yeah, I think it's in the meeting point here, like at like the image shows, like when he meets Ben for the first time, really in the hut, and and Ben tells him the story of the Clone Wars. Like in that conversation, he just says straight up, like, yeah, there is there was the Clone Wars. Your father was a Jedi, and unfortunately, your father fell to the dark side and is Darth Vader, and he helped to bring about the downfall of the Galactic Republic. And I think what that does is, like, Luke was already pretty gung-ho to, like, you know, especially after he's seeing what happened to his aunt and uncle, he was like ready to go. He's like, I want to become a Jedi. I want to, you know, I want to take down the Empire. But I think that even galvanizes him further, where it's like, if this is what my father did, and like this is what my father brought about to even my own family, I think he becomes super motivated to just like to be the best Jedi he can be,
to right the wrong. And really, like, the first time, like, you know, the early interactions with him and Vader are very minimal. Like, even on the Death Star, like on the Death Star in A New Hope, like, he sees him, he doesn't even really know who he is. He just knows he's Vader. He's a bad guy. The earlier interactions before the reveal in ESB look completely different. And I think it really becomes Luke having the upper hand over Vader in the mental game, because for the majority of the original trilogy, the mental game was all Vader. Vader owned the mental game. And I think what eventually happens is that Luke owns that mental game right up front, because he knows that Vader's his father, and Vader doesn't really know that Luke is his son immediately. Like, it takes him a little while to catch it. And yeah, well, I mean, technically, at least in the movie universe, not until Empire, when Palpatine's like, "Hey, that was the son of Skywalker," and he's like,
"The son,
what?
Like the son of Skywalker will not become a Jedi," and he's like, "Oh shit, okay, I know who that is now." But he has he keeps the mental edge over Vader, and that's what always fucks Vader, is if he's at a mental disadvantage.
Right.
Every time you look at Vader and he's at a mental disadvantage, he loses. So I think that eventually he either completely just relents and either like turns on the Emperor, fails and dies, or in whatever way he can, given the state of his self, turns to the good side, knowing that his son is there and is on this crusade to right the wrongs of his father, and sees that, like, oh my God, even though I had done all this awful shit, like the same realization happens as what happens at the end of Return of the Jedi. It just happens earlier, and he turns before he dies.
We think here, coming from Sir Dork, do you think Luke would be driven out of anger at that point, or would he still kind of have a clear head because now he knows the truth and he has a mission per se?
I think that there was, like, the anger definitely came from the deception, I think.
Well, yeah, because I mean, Obi-Wan says,
betrayal.
Yeah, Vader betrayed your father and murdered him. So yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I feel like it's not that he's angry, that, because, like, you could see, like, Luke was never angry at his father. Like, I'm sure that there was some initial anger, but, like, if you look at the end of ROTJ, he's like, "You're my dad. Like, just fuck it. Like, I know that there's still good in you." Like, he doesn't hold ill will towards Anakin Vader. Like, he's like, "You can come back, and I know you can." And I think that if that conversation goes differently and Ben reveals to him right up front, like, Vader is your father, then that relationship between Ben and Luke changes, and Luke finds out a lot about Anakin as a Jedi, and a lot about the good things that Anakin, like, the good aspects of Anakin's life, and like how his fall happened. And then there's even more sympathy towards his father, to be like, if this is how this happened, I know that he can come back. And I feel like it galvanizes him even further to be like, look, I know that there's good in you, and I know why you fell, and I know that there's a space for you if you come back here. So yeah,
like,
that's my thought.
Thronkill coming in here, missing Tashi Station power converter store drove a lot of that anger.
That is true. He was super hyped to go to Tashi's.
Yeah, I could still see, and once Luke gets the download from Obi-Wan, I see him rolling back to the Lars homestead going, "You dickhead. You didn't tell me any of this stuff. You just kept me here essentially as your slave." Zoom! Just cuts up the Larses. I got some other questions for you here. Nick, do you? I believe that Obi-Wan still sacrifices himself, though, because that still gives Luke an edge when he has a Force ghost at all times versus a meat bag that may not be able to be in his head in an important moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think that what happens on Death Star 1 is probably pretty similar. I mean, Kenobi knows that Luke's in no position, even if he knows that Vader is his father, that he's in no position to confront him at that point. So I think that the what happens on Death Star 1 probably goes down in a pretty similar fashion, but there may be the initial reveal that like Luke calls out to his father, and there may be more of a hesitation.
Well, yeah, in the trench run, like he's like, "Hey, Dad, like I know it's you. I know now."
Yeah.
And I like that. I could see that, and maybe that even throws Vader off instead of the Han shot. You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's like it's less dependent on like Han showing up and like, all right, kid, you got the fucking free shot, and it's more of like a mental stun where Vader's like, what the fuck, like, yeah, and you know, like he just kind of lets him go.
And then I do think in Empire, Luke would probably be more open to what his masters are telling him at this point, because now, you know, the clarity has been revealed. He knows everything. He knows what he ultimately is going to have to do. They're not tricking him. They're not telling him you're not ready. I think they would get him ready. I still think he might leave because of the vision, but like you said, he already knows what he's going into on Bespin now. If we end up on Bespin, he knows he's got knowledge, and knowledge is power. And he probably doesn't get his ass kicked. I don't think he can still beat Vader yet in Empire, but he probably doesn't get his ass kicked, and the movie doesn't end on such a sour note. In fact, maybe he cuts off Vader's hand, and that's like the sign, like, oh shit, this kid really is going to be a problem, like the Emperor was saying. Because let's face it, in Empire Strikes Back, when the Emperor's like, hey man, this guy figures shit out, we're screwed, and guess what? Luke doesn't figure shit out. He shows up like a rookie and is a complete boob. So I do think he comes a little more prepared, a little more skilled. The fight's a bit more equally matched. It probably is a stalemate, or maybe Luke gets a trick shot on him that really opens Vader up to like, oh, holy hell, this is my son. And if like we're in trouble. If Ben gives him enough information and like he really leans on that mental edge that he had, like imagine if they're fighting and Luke just comes in and he says like, what would Padme think about this? Oh yeah, like, because you know, like, I mean, Sheev did such a good job on Anakin's mind. Luke could do the exact same shit. Yeah, it's like, and he would just be like, you know that mom wouldn't want this. Like, you know, like he could just hit him with so many lines where it's like, of course. Well, yeah, like there you go. You're writing it for me. It would be reversed. Vader would be the one like hanging on, and Luke's like, you know, your wife wouldn't like this. He'd be like, no. Yeah, it's like, of course, like it's gonna stoke that like feral anger in Vader, but it's gonna be completely uncontrolled. Like he's gonna be like a wild animal. Like he's not gonna be able to control it. It's gonna open himself up. Yeah, he just goes off the reservation probably after Empire Strikes Back. Like he's just like, holy, I don't know what to do anymore. I got my son throwing my wife's stuff in my face. He's as competent. He's almost as competent as me already, and he's only been training for a year or so. Like I need to rethink my life. Yeah, I mean, this to me, this one sounds like one that I would really like to see somebody make, because it sounds like to essentially turn the tables on the relationship between Luke and Vader and really make it where Vader is the one that's at a disadvantage in all of this. It seems so interesting. Yeah, I like it. I like it. I love that throwing the what would mom. That's such a good line. If any of you are parents, or you know, y'all grew up in a family, you know exactly what that is. Like once you throw out, hey, what would mom think of this shit? The dad would be like, oh fuck, I just got called out and I am in trouble. All right, hey, we got some new people joining in there. I know we've been riffing there, but just want to recognize Thrawn Kill showing up, Sir Dork Imperial Activity, and we got this T Money in here, T Muni, however you want to say it. Showing up. Welcome. We speak your names. Yeah, I like this one too. This one's interesting. Like it does get like, what would Luke do with that knowledge? And I do think he would double down and really do his best to get his dad back on the right track.
Yeah, and it's such a simple thing too. All it is just like literally one line of dialogue change, and it completely shifts the entire
Darth,
dynamic
no.
between those two characters.
What would Padme say? No.
That's so good. All right, I like that one, Nick. Good one. All right, what do we have next on our list of 10 Star Wars what-if scenarios? Ooh, talking about Luke again. And here we got a comic book cover where, he once had to dress as an Imperial officer. So we're just saying out there. And I think one of the Lego series on Disney did a short on where Luke actually joins the Imperial Academy, becomes a TIE fighter pilot and friends with Vader. But we're just throwing it out there. What if Luke did join the Empire? What if, Owen did let him go to the Imperial Academy, and unlike Biggs, he dug it. He was committed to what the Empire was doing. Yeah. Where would he end up? Would his powers eventually bubble to the surface? Would Palpatine be able to identify him in his ranks and be like, hey, by the way, Darth, that's him. That's the one.
That's your boy.
And we have him now. So what are we going to do?
Yeah, I mean, this is a super interesting one, right? Because let's just put aside the fact that like Ben Kenobi would have done anything in his power to prevent this from happening. But like, let's just say whatever, like he gets into the Imperial Academy, he becomes an Imperial recruit, and becomes a TIE fighter pilot. I think what ends up happening here is now on the rebellion side, Ben has to activate Leia as a Force user. Like it's you cannot afford to not do it now. Like before they had Luke and they were like, okay, Leia is clearly in a position of power and she has these organizational and inspirational skills that are really leading this rebellion in a way that's invaluable. It's hard to lose that. But with Luke gone, you have to imagine that like Kenobi goes to Leia and is like, you remember me from, I saved you. Like,
oh yeah.
like,
at this point, Nick, we just have to, they know each other well because of the Kenobi series. So.
Yeah. Like they are familiar.
Yeah. They're homies.
So then Kenobi's only choice is to now reveal the truth. Like you can't play around now. Like you can't do what he did with Luke and was like, Darth Vader, blah, blah, blah. Your father was, killed and murdered.
Yeah, like, he's got to be like, hey, by the way, your father and brother are in the Empire.
Are in the Empire. And guess what? You're you're a kick-ass Force user.
Yeah, your brother is just as dangerous as Darth Vader, if not more, because he's not broken.
So he has to mobilize Leia. And so that side then becomes, the story training Leia and getting that faction ready. And then on the Luke side of things, I think that you were pretty spot on. I think that Palpatine will definitely recognize Luke as the son of Skywalker before Vader does, just because
you would
Vader
hope
is
so.
in a constant sense of torment.
Pretty good at master planning and sniffing shit out and kind of putting puzzle pieces together.
Yeah, so he immediately finds that, and here's what I think would happen, though.
He tries to take out Vader.
He plucks him. Yeah, he plucks Luke out and doesn't tell Vader.
Yeah, he doesn't want a broken toy anymore, right?
Yeah, exactly. And he starts to train Luke himself clandestinely and not tell Vader.
And Luke kills Vader.
And then Luke, there's the showdown between father and son, and Luke fucking takes him out. And then Luke becomes the new Darth, whatever name you want to give him.
And I believe with Luke at his side, they don't lose. I think the Empire wins at this point because he is as powerful as his dad it was and the Chosen One. You got to remember, he's damaged, severely damaged. I mean, his powers are limited because he doesn't have, all he has is artificial limbs. He's always in pain. He's always got to be angry. So he can never really focus on anything but being pissed off just so he can stay alive and have some power. Luke would have none of that bullshit to deal with. Luke would be fresh. He's loaded with middies. he'd be ready to rock. He's shooting lightning out of his eyes, mouth, toes, hands. It doesn't matter. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think a fully trained, capable Luke easily dispatches Vader, and I don't think his sister beats him. I think the Empire persists with Luke and Sheev at the helm.
Yeah, I mean, the rebellion would have to find a very different path to trying to end the Empire. Whether it be like, okay, like we don't have a choice now. We have to rally the hidden Jedi, and we really got to come at this with a better force than what we have now.
Yeah, I mean, we could also spin it. What if Sheev doesn't quite get to it, but Vader gets to Luke first, and then he kind of makes the same pitch. Like, look, if anything, Luke, I look pretty damn cool. We might be related. We're pretty powerful. What do you say? You want to take this guy out and do things our way? So, I mean, it could go that way, but I think you're right. I think Sheev, with his master planning, would probably get there before Vader, because again, Vader's just going to be sitting there all pissed off and angry and not really thinking about the long game outside of how can I kill Palpatine. Yeah,
absolutely. So, yeah, I think that one's a fun, interesting one too. It almost assuredly ends with a showdown between father and son, but for very different states.
Yeah, I like BMAD saying here, his first mission for his loyalty to his empire is to hunt down his friends. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing we could. I mean, we don't have to spend much more time on this what if, but you could argue Luke joins the Empire at two spots, right from Tatooine in the Academy, like he wanted to, or if he did hang with them a little bit, but when Vader made the pitch, he actually takes it. I like running with Luke. He enters the Empire as a cadet, gets found out, and there we go. We told the story already. So, I dig that. That's it. I think a bad Luke is the easiest thing to start with, or Empire Luke is like the easiest what if they could do. I mean, it writes itself really. And as I said, if you haven't watched it, I think it's the Lego series. I believe it was a Halloween one where a character, or Poe Dameron, they go to like this. Maybe it's on Mustafar, and they're going around. There's like 3 little short stories told, and one is Luke does join the Academy and flies ties and becomes buddies with Darth and all that fun stuff. All right, now what could we have next in our list of Star Wars what ifs? You never know. We're at least halfway through here. That's good. All right, how about this one? Ahsoka believes and then joins Maul. So if you're not familiar with what we're talking about here, if you remember in the final season of Clone Wars, in that triple end of season arc, the Siege of Mandalore arc, that's not probably the best Clone Wars storytelling around. When Ahsoka tracks down Maul in the throne room, he lays it down to her. He tells her the truth. He's like, listen, I was not expecting you. I wanted them to bring Anakin Skywalker because he's the key to everything. He is the linchpin in Palpatine's plans. And if we let those two get together, then you're all screwed. The Jedi are dead. I'm screwed. Yada, yada, yada. And Ahsoka, not knowing the future and believing her former master was righteous, was like, screw you. He would never do that. I'm going to try to arrest you like I was sent here to do. So, Nick, what would happen if she kind of teamed up with Maul, bought his story, and went off to hunt Anakin Skywalker?
Yeah, I think it comes to an interesting, it's definitely an interesting story where these two kind of become like a Quinlan Vos and Asajj Ventress kind of duo, where they're not necessarily working, for one side or the other, but they are working towards a similar goal. But I do think that like in the ultimate showdown, if they do have like a 2v2 fight, I just don't see Ahsoka and Maul being able to take out Palpatine and Vader. It's such a hard nut to crack, especially with the emotional attachment that Ahsoka has.
I don't think they tried a 2v2 match to start. I think they try to get to Anakin maybe even before Palpatine. I mean, think about how crazy that would be. If Ahsoka shows up with Maul and Anakin is still Anakin, he hasn't made the fateful choice yet. And they show up and, she's going to be a little bit racked, but she's committed now to what Maul told her. She believes it. what if they had to fight Jedi Anakin Skywalker on his own to take him out before the fall even happens?
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be a really good fight for sure. I think that a motivated and the thing is, it's like Anakin is so emotionally driven, and whenever his emotion is too heavily placed in the fight, he always loses. It's just he always loses when his emotion is in the fight. So I think that like he feels betrayed, obviously, by Ahsoka. He feels especially seeing Ahsoka with Maul, like somebody who is clearly an adversary and was an enemy of the Republic. But I think he loses that fight because he's unable to grasp that, like, that one, she apparently has turned on him and is fighting against Maul. But I also think that just like the overwhelming ability of Ahsoka from season 7 of Clone Wars and Maul, I don't know. I mean, maybe he super taps into the dark side, and like that's when he he produces lightning for the first time and he's able to take him out. Like maybe that's how
I'm
that
with
goes.
you though. Like I think the mental jarring of seeing that girl with that guy might give them enough of an opening to take him out when he's kind of off kilter. I'm with you though. I think the longer you let that fight go on and Anakin kind of collect his thoughts and maybe, as B-Mat's saying there, potentially channel a bit of his darkness, he could have a shot. But these aren't two slouches here, Ahsoka and Maul. I mean, Ahsoka grows obviously even more powerful from here, but Maul, he was pretty peak. So I think they could give Anakin a run for his money for sure. I'm with you. If it was 2v2, Palpatine and a non-destroyed Anakin mop the floor with them. But let's say they achieve their goal and they do take out Anakin. How the dominoes fall from there? Then they go after Palpatine. Could they take out Palpatine as too, or do they try to get in leagues with the Jedi Order, or are they just like, fuck it, we know better than everyone at this point?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because it's like you're never gonna convince the Jedi Order if you're Maul and Ahsoka. At this point, like Ahsoka is, I mean, she's already kind of back in their good graces. They've given her the 330 seconds. She's already on Mandalore and everything like that. But like once she allies with Maul,
right, she's out.
Like the person that they were literally going after to take out, it's over.
They're not friends.
Yeah, it's like they're no longer do I consider you an ally, and especially not that now that you're with Maul. So I think that they would probably try to find their way to Palpatine and do it by themselves,
right. and then assume power that way. Yeah, I mean you're right. Yeah. I mean they would have to become the power players.
Yeah, because and here's the thing: Maul goes into the fight with Ahsoka, having already experienced what happens in a 1v2 fight with Palpatine.
Correct.
And Palpatine is diminished, like he's not as physically able as he was when he fought Savage and Maul. So I think that they may come out on top just in terms of a physical battle, because Maul has that inside edge of like, hey, look, this guy might be old and fucked up, but like he is formidable, like very, very formidable. So they go in more prepared. And especially like if Maul can tap into his underworld contacts and like make this a chaotic duel, like I feel like they might be able to come out on top.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you never know. I mean, Maul, when riled up, can do some pretty amazing things. Here's the best part about this. I think if they even accomplish what Maul set out to do, he ultimately he gets power hungry. And I don't see Ahsoka kind of following that. I mean, I know she might make a kind of a heel turn to join with him, but I think she's going to be doing it from a perspective of, no, this has to be done. This is the right thing. And then we'll restore power to the Senate, whatever, where Maul will be like, no, this is my baby now. And then maybe these two have to go at it again. And we know she can beat him if needed.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of turns into something similar as we saw in TLJ, where it's like, okay, for a time being, like Rey and Kylo decided like, yeah, we're going to team up and we're going to take down we'll take down Snoke and we'll take down the Imperial Guard and everything like that. But then when it comes to it, and Maul's like, all right, now I'm the guy.
Exactly.
I got the power.
100.
And she's going to turn on him. Like they will fight.
It would be fun to see these two fight together, though. Not each other, but together. Because I think they're some of the best secondary characters from the Clone Wars. I mean, they are. I mean, let's be real. They're awesome. Both of them. All right. So there you go. On to the next Star Wars what if scenario. We're bringing back our horned-headed friend here. And now we're saying, and I know a lot of fans had this, Bat was asking it, and see, we're paying off on your question here, Bat, but we are proposing, what if in The Phantom Menace, Maul killed Kenobi instead of Qui-Gon?
Yeah, that's an interesting one, because I think that in that instance, if it plays out, then Qui-Gon dispatches of Maul, whether he kills him or not, whatever. Like, I don't think that's super pertinent. But then Anakin has a much more suitable train. Like,
he has a father figure now instead of a brother.
Like that master under his belt. And I think that what ends up happening is that he identifies the relationship much earlier. Even though Obi-Wan knew about it to a certain degree, he never confronted Anakin about it.
You're talking about his love life?
Yeah, his love life. Like, I feel like that probably still happens because the dynamic between Padme and Anakin never really hinged on Obi-Wan all that much. Like, it was more. I mean, dude,
he was a 10-year-old that saw a space angel show up in his junk shop. I mean,
yeah,
he was mesmerized by her. So you're 100% right. Whether Qui-Gon trains him for those 10 years between TPM and AOTC or not, he's still going to have a bit of a chub for this girl.
Yeah, and I think what ends up happening is that Qui-Gon identifies that early and confronts him about it. And I think the dynamic of that relationship has changed. It almost kind of feels like it falls more in line with, like, what if Padme kind of rebuffed him, like if Padme didn't seduce Anakin, where it's like, if that relationship is ended, then the galaxy as a whole is in a much better spot, because while the overthrow of the government probably still happens due to Order 66 and everything like that, Anakin remains on the good side. And the better part about this what if scenario is that not only does Anakin remain on the good side, but he has much better training from a much more competent master to put him in a position to really be at his best in the fight for the Galactic Republic. And then obviously you have like a Qui-Gon Jinn who is now vindicated in the sense of being the one that's like, hey, look, like, Qui-Gon Jinn will also be able to much more easily recognize the rise of the darkness than the other Jedi, because they're so, like, the other Jedi were so conditioned to be like, it's not going to happen, blah, blah, blah. But Qui-Gon,
because of that little green toad sitting on that seat speaking it for 800 years. Oh, there's no dark side. Visions are nothing. Ignore them. You know, it's like, okay.
So, like, but Qui-Gon is going to be the constant voice to be like, look, whether you want to admit it or not, the darkness is rising and we need to be prepared for it. So I think that even on the Jedi and the Republic side in this scenario, they're more prepared purely because Qui-Gon is there as the one point of rationale.
We all saw it years ago in that director's roundtable when Filoni, I think that's when he dropped the wisdom there. He's like, listen, if Qui-Gon survives, nothing really goes bad with Anakin. He becomes the chosen one. He stays on that path. And the big argument was Qui-Gon was the father he needed, where Obi-Wan was a brother. He kind of resented the fact that he had to train him. They were close enough in age that, you know, Anakin really developed that kind of ego where he always, I'm better than him. He's holding me back. You wouldn't be getting any of that whiny bullshit we saw in Attack of the Clones if he worked with Qui-Gon Jinn for 10 years, because Qui-Gon would know how to mold that 10-year-old into the chosen one that he believes he is to become. So, yeah, I agree that the Padme stuff doesn't go down then. Or if it does, it's embraced through Qui-Gon's view of the living force. Remember, he's not as rigid as his fellow masters. That's why he does not have a seat on the council. But he probably would, knowing the danger, he probably would really try to skirt that away. But I think he keeps Anakin on the path to be the chosen one, to take out the dark side. Miller time.
Yeah, I agree.
Good old Qui-Gon.
Good old Qui-Gon.
Now all he does is call old women to give him helicopter fuel to get out of Australia. It's from Ask Your Dad, Nick, but there was a big thing last year on the Stern Show where they found it's a thing where Liam Neeson impersonators essentially prey on older women on Facebook through AI and all the deep fakes we can do now, and they literally send thousands and thousands of dollars to these scammers. And the story was, hey, this is Liam Neeson. I'm filming in Australia and we cannot get out of this location. I need you to send me $14,000 for helicopter fuel. And the people are like, okay, it's Liam. We're in a relationship. It's like, woo, watch out, people.
That's insane.
There's a reason this world has gone the way it has gone, because as much as you would think that people are like you and they're not completely moronic, nah. It's not that way. It's not that way. No,
I mean, I saw something like that happen with like a Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, there you go.
And
yeah,
like a Brad Pitt one too.
That's like, insane. I mean, Facebook it's dangerous for these old people. All right, boomers, get off that shit. You don't know what you're doing, especially now that they've removed any sort of fact checking on that place. So Qui-Gon lives. Anakin becomes the chosen one. Prophecy fulfilled.
There we go.
At least according to Dave Filoni. All right, next one here, and we kind of hinted at this when we were talking about Luke joining the Empire and what may have to happen to try to counter it. But this is different. We're kind of running off of a chapter from the Certain Point of View novel where it was revealed that Yoda, and he kind of says as much in the original trilogy, that Yoda really preferred to train Leia. I forget all the reasons why, but it was more or less like, look at this person, look what she's doing, look at all her accomplishments. She's not some farm boy idiot that sits on a hovel and pretends he's on a speeder bike, playing tic-tac-toe in the sand. This is who we need to train. We saw what happened with the last male Skywalker. We need to go after this one. Let the farm boy be a farm boy. His potential is much less than her. So we're saying Leia is trained in the Force instead of Luke. So what does that look like, Nick? And I guess give me Leia's arc and then how Luke eventually comes into play.
Yeah, I mean, I think that in this one, it's so interesting because Leia is known to Vader. Like, Leia is not like an unknown quantity, like he doesn't know that Leia is his daughter, but he knows who Leia is, like as a person and as a senator. And like, you've seen their interactions before, and clearly even before the Tantive 4, in the beginning of episode 4, Vader and Leia were aware of each other. Like the banter between them was very clear.
Yeah, she was a senator in the Galactic Senate.
So I think what almost ends up happening here is like, you can't just like, Leia can't go dark. Like, Leia is a public figure in the rebellion and also like within the Senate before it went belly up and before it was dissolved. Like, so it almost feels like there is a more antagonistic approach toward, like, from the rebellion towards the Empire in terms of like Leia's capabilities, like, right? Because it's hard to hide them, or it's like you would really have to be very careful in how Leia is perceived publicly.
They would almost have to get to her as a kid before she becomes too much public facing. Kind of lay the groundwork when she's still not a teen yet.
Yeah, it's like you would almost like, I don't want to say that they would have to put her through like traditional Jedi training.
Yeah, not that young, but about when her dad was trained.
Yeah, exactly. Like you would have to, essentially what would have had to happen is right after that Kenobi series ended, they're like, we need to start training.
He stays on Alderaan, or maybe Yoda comes out to Alderaan and he goes back watching over Luke just to make sure he doesn't go off the reservation.
Yeah, I mean, like the cool idea to me was it's all you would almost treat it like if you've ever seen the Hunger Games movies or read the Hunger Games books, at a certain point the rebellion against the Capitol becomes antagonistic towards the Capitol, where like they are putting Katniss front and center and they know that the Capitol is hunting this girl down. And they put her front and center on TV cameras, and she's like, I'm here. What are you going to do about it? Like, I'm here to oppose you. This is who I am. And I would almost like to see the rebellion do that with Leia, where it's like once she's gotten to a point, like once the rebellion was in a more comfortable spot, like they're never in a comfortable spot, but like once they feel more confident about Leia's abilities and about their own, their own readiness, to almost send Leia out as this public facing, like, I am Leia Skywalker, the
Hear
daughter
me roar,
of Anakin
bitches.
Skywalker.
And they play the Wonder Woman theme, like,
but like bring that level of like, we're not afraid of you to the Empire in a way that's very meaningful. But then on the side, like, yeah, now we've revealed that we have one of the sons or one of the children of Anakin Skywalker here, and she's trained and she's ready. But also on the side, they're training Luke, so like you then come at them with a more
Flash Gordon, sorry,
coordinated approach where it's like. And I think that in this scenario too, because they would take the upper hand in terms of like the communication and stuff, it would like Vader would be mentally fucked again. Like he would be so thrown. He'd be like, I cannot believe they have both of my kids. And
the one is ready as F to rock, and the other one they at least took off the board, and they're getting him prepped up now with cliff notes.
He's coming up.
Yeah,
so like
he's a good pilot, but he hasn't quite mastered the Force yet.
Yeah, like it really like you present this front of like, hey, the daughter is a Jedi and the son is coming up as a Jedi, but is a rebellion pilot. Like it really shifts the narrative. And I think what it does too, in terms of a galactic sense, if that messaging is put out there, like you now have like the son and daughter of Anakin Skywalker that have come to bear in the rebellion, the level of seeds and other like rebellious pods start to pop up in huge numbers around the galaxy. Like the rebellion is way more powerful because people feel empowered by these two individuals.
Right.
They
have
empowered.
hero figures now, legendary. Like, okay, now we can combat this dark because we've got an equal force on the light.
Yeah, exactly. Like people feel empowered to stand up and to fight back.
Well, I mean, Nick, we could argue it'd be similar, and hey, love it or hate it, it happened. It's a movie. But Luke's actions in The Last Jedi, standing on that battlefield and saving the Resistance, and then having the Resistance tell the tale of how he stared down the First Order, that became the beacon to the galaxy. And that's why you see Broom Boy reenacting that scene with his figures. And that's why, Nick's favorite moment in Tross takes place when the civilian fleet shows up. It's all from that move. Like Nick's saying, Luke put out that beacon. The Resistance used Luke's propaganda. Like, look, the legend is back. He did this. He saved the day. One man stared down multiple First Order walkers and came out on top. So, yeah, I think it would be very similar to that if they broadcasted the twins. Like, here we go. It's time to turn the tide.
Yeah, I think that would be a really cool moment for the rebellion to, like, basically spit in the face of the Empire and specifically call out Vader. It's like, we know who you are and we know who they are. Yeah. So are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Like
cut it like a WWE promo or something. Leia's in the back, like swinging her saber around and levitating stuff with her mind. Yoda's hyping her up, like, go, dude. I dig it. And I do think Luke ultimately gets involved, but he's less of the figurehead. Leia now becomes the galactic legend, where Luke is more kind of in the background.
Yeah, I agree.
And don't get upset, white guys. We're just literally spitballing fake stuff. What if? So don't worry. We're not trying to take away your power. Okay. All right. Good stuff. Damn it. Thrawn Kill has that freaking Flash Gordon theme song baked into my head now because he said that. It's just like I can't. I hear Freddie singing it. Doom 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 doom. Flash, save the universe. That was some good shit. You go watch that movie now. It's like, how the hell did I used to watch this stuff?
Yeah, I know that didn't age.
No,
as well.
it's terrible, dude. They have that one scene in the throne room where he's literally playing football and beating people. Yeah. Like his moves are being a football player.
Oh man,
those the Eagle people. All right, it's not the Flash Gordon show, but hey, it is one of George's one of his pillars that he looked to make Star Wars, so we can't make up fun of it too much.
That is true. All
right, let's keep this thing moving right along so we can kind of get to our fan segment here. We are on our last one, I believe, and now we got one more. Yeah. All right, so everything stays the same up until the end of Return of the Jedi. The only difference is Vader survives his encounter with Luke and the Emperor, and he is able to leave with his son, rejoin his daughter, and ultimately the new republic they're about to form. So we have a Vader living past Return of the Jedi. Nick, what does that look like for the galaxy?
I think that is the best thing that could have happened to the galaxy, because one, I think the reestablishment of some sort of modified Jedi Order comes much earlier, because there's so much wisdom within Anakin Vader that he can impart on to Luke. And then also it would delay the rise of any antagonistic faction like the First Order, because you have somebody like Vader who is always there as the proof point to be like, look, I've lived through this. I caused this. And he can identify those seeds earlier. And he could also be the ones, like he would like.
Thank you,
B
Mad. Sorry, Nick. Super chat, bro. I mean, don't mean to cut you off. Thank you, B Mad. We always appreciate you, bro. Have a good day.
Yes, love and respect. But it like whatever happens, like Ben Solo would never fall to the dark side because he would have
his role models right there.
Yeah, like in some capacity, like who knows how much longer Vader lives. Like obviously he would still need to be in the Iron Lung, but still like having a Vader or an Anakin in an Iron Lung with that wisdom and with his family is invaluable to the galaxy. The level of knowledge and wisdom that he has.
How about this, Nick? He's with the Alliance, the New Republic. Let's say maybe they do have some technology, or maybe we learned that the Emperor, and he probably was, kind of limiting Vader's access to truly heal himself. So let's say the New Republic, whoever their scientists, they're able to somewhat restore some of Vader's health to the point where he isn't a walking iron lung. I mean, obviously he still looks like shit, may have to wear some sort of a suit, but let's say he's not as limited and maybe they get him out of the required breathing apparatus. I mean, what does he look like? I mean, does he go to a white like we've seen a good Vader portrayed? Does he put a helmet back on? I mean, if he could, let's say Vader could kind of have his choice of how he wants to look now that he's come back to the light side, considering his health limitations. What do you think they could do for him? I mean, obviously he's not going to walk around in the black suit. So what does he look like? Knowing
Anakin, he'd be like, give me a modified version of my clone armor.
Okay.
Like
the maroon and blues that, with keep the chest armor on there.
Yeah, like give me something that brings like restores the glory of Anakin Skywalker before his fall, and he can that would be his visage.
Yeah, it may be a different helmet that you can still see parts of his face, so he isn't as like evil and imposing looking.
Exactly, like you would have to have visible face. maybe they give him a wig. It's like, look, man, we can't have this scarred head shit going on. Let's toss a wig on. But I truly do think that it would be a new golden age of the Jedi Order, because the reestablishment of the Jedi Order would be helmed by the Chosen One, the redeemed Chosen One, and his son. And I think that you would have a much longer period of peace in the galaxy because of Anakin's presence, his knowledge, his ability to be this beacon for those who may be thinking about the dark side, but he would be there as
he's the stick.
Nobody
he's essentially the stick. Hey, F around and find out if you want.
It's so I think that would be
all right.
An incredible opportunity for the galaxy if he was to live.
And if he did live, they would definitely make sure he looked like Hayden Christensen instead of Sebastian Shaw here.
Shaw, yes.
All right, and our last one before the fan segment here, Ben Solo never falls to the dark side. So he sticks with his Uncle Luke, doesn't tear down his temple, doesn't become Kylo Ren and a tool of Snoke and vis-a-vis Palpatine. So what happens if we never have a Kylo Ren to help the First Order truly rise?
I think in that instance, then you would almost see that Rey takes up that mantle, right? Because Rey, now knowing that Rey is associated in some form or fashion with the dark side through her father being a clone of Palpatine, what I think then what would happen is they identify her as this aberrant Force user that has come out of this experimentation with Palpatine and his clones and stuff, that she flips and is now the dark side Force user. But what you now have is a much more mature Jedi Academy on Luke's side, because if Ben doesn't fall, Luke doesn't fall, and Luke is still in the picture.
Right.
You now have a mature Ben Solo, probably at least at the rank of Jedi Knight.
Yeah, Jedi Knight for sure. He probably even has a Padawan of his own.
Yeah, training Padawans. The academy itself is much more established and has been folded into, at least in some way, the New Republic, similar to how the Jedi functioned with the old, in the Grand Republic. And the fight between the First Order and the New Republic is much more even, especially in terms of available Force users to you. And
dude, I don't even think the First Order was building up for years, so it would still exist. I think they're done pretty quick though. If you have a band of Jedi going after a clone strand cast of Palpatine and some big Star Destroyers, it's over.
It's
as soon as the First Order makes itself known, they're essentially taken out.
Yeah, they get shut down pretty quickly. I think that Rey, is not nearly formidable enough to stand up to.
She might not even come into play, honestly. She's just hanging out on Jakku.
Yeah, it's if you I would assume that they would want some sort of formidable Force user on their side.
I forget that she's a Palpatine. God damn it, Nick, you're right. Yeah,
she gets folded in purely because of that, but it's not even close, right? I think that what would likely happen is the First Order rise, or their push into the galaxy would be delayed, and he would just try to make more clones.
Or maybe he executes the Final Order quicker, right? He unleashes that Exegol fleet kind of in a panic, a last ditch effort. I don't think the First Order does too well if we have an actual Jedi Order that isn't scared to kind of put down some horse shit.
Yeah, you have a Grandmaster Jedi, Luke Skywalker, who is emboldened and is confident and has his family at his side, which is always Luke's strength. You have his sister there,
Right, yeah,
you know,
Leia's fully trained, Ben's fully trained, Luke's fully trained, and then you have all these ancillary Force users that he has been training for decades. I mean, you gotta remember that the First Order really doesn't kind of make its gut punch to the galaxy almost 40 years past the fall of the Empire.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even close. Like if Ben Solo doesn't fall, the New Republic is in a complete power position.
Well, it's like you said, they're essentially back to not High Republic, but back to that Galactic Republic where they have a force of Jedi to lean on.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
And
okay.
Yeah.
League. I don't know if Darkseid Rey makes it too far in this scenario.
Yeah,
though.
I don't know how formidable she would be.
Because you know, just her personality. If you had some goons show up, like, hey, you this Palpatine guy, I think she'd be like, you know, suck on my tits. She was never like this just power hungry freak. She didn't know anything really. She just wanted her portions and basically traded in junk. So, but they would make that attempt. I think he would realize like, crap, we lost the Solo kid. So it's time to bring this Rey over. Maybe she's older enough and I can transfer my juice to her and potentially give her some like a level up, but it wouldn't be enough for an entire order of Jedi.
And like I really do think it would then become like a blitzkrieg from the First Order, Final Order side, and like they, instead of having like this, you know, this rise that happens like and they take over, it would literally be like the New Republic is still intact and powerful, and Palpatine's like the only chance we have is full mobilization in a surprise attack fashion.
Yes, Starkiller base goes nowhere. That like the Jedi Order would take that shit out before it could even fire. Like, so I do think the only recourse Palpatine has at this point would be Final Order way earlier than he had planned.
Yeah, and he would have to bring the Exegol. Like it wouldn't be like it was in the movie where like the resistance goes to the Exegol
he brings
fleet.
that to the galaxy. Yeah. Yes.
He's got to bring it in, and like while he may get a good sucker punch off at first and cause some damage.
Yeah, he'll take out a few planets. Yeah, remember each one of those Star Destroyers had a planet cracker on it. So he's definitely getting a planet here or there, but that's it.
The New Republic mobilization would just come too fast. The Jedi would be ready. Like they wouldn't stand a chance.
Get some of those Jedi starfighters out there again, break them out of storage. It'd be great.
Yeah.
All right. So that's that. I think we hit all of our Star Wars what ifs. Like I said, if you all dig this or dug it, I'm sure we could cook up some more down the road. This is kind of like the hot takes where it really is never ending. It comes down to what characters, what trilogies, what comics, books do you want to riff on. So that was our 10 Star Wars what if scenarios. And now it's time to move into this week's fan segment. We do it every week, people, if you're new here. If you do want to get involved and possibly have your thoughts shared on the show, you just got to make sure to be following us on our socials, Instagram, YouTube, Discord, TikTok even. Have at it. We post a question typically on Wednesdays, and it's usually going to be themed to our main topic. So, of course, this week we're talking about what-if scenarios. So we're like, hey, fandos, what are you all thinking about when it comes to your preferred what if, Nick? So I'll go ahead and get that queued up if you want to start reading them away here.
Indeed. So first up, we got B-Mad here on YouTube. He says, what if Obi-Wan denied Qui-Gon's death request and abandoned Anakin on Tatooine as a freed
That'd be great.
slave?
So Qui-Gon dies. Obi-Wan picks up Anakin after he blows up that tread fader and shit. He's like, you know what, kid? I never liked you anyways. And drops an escape pod even. He doesn't even land on Tatooine. He just shoots his ass back down to the planet.
Yeah. I mean, but here's the truth of what happens is Palpy already knows Anakin's out there. So Palpy just picks him up from the fucking desert.
That's right.
And then
he's like, thank you. You just made my job easy.
Yeah, I would say then the Republic is super fucked.
Yeah.
Because they don't like he doesn't even have to worry about manipulating this kid. He's got him right
They'll
from
just
a child.
work him over, like, 10 years old, just fill him with propaganda to the point where he's literally sitting there doing, Sig Hails to Palpatine. So, this does not end well for the Jedi Order or the Galactic Republic if Obi-Wan gets lax on his promise to his master.
Yeah. So, all right. Next up, we got 2797 Studios. Mr. Bad says, I'd love to see what if Qui-Gon survived. I think, that would have massive repercussions on the entire storyline and a fun question to ask. What if George never sold? What would the fandom have been happier? No. Stories better? Maybe. Looking forward to this one. So, Qui-Gon survived. We covered that one. Definitely looks very different, but still a conflict would happen between the Clone Forces and the Republic for sure. So good stuff there from Bat. And if you guys have recommendations, other what if scenarios that you want us to run through, put them in Discord. We'll try to keep those for a rainy day. And this was a fun.
Yeah. I saved all of the fan hot takes we didn't get to, and I would do the same thing. We'll just keep them in an archive. So
yeah. So good stuff there from Bat. Johnny Osage says, "Hello SWTS. I think some interesting what ifs might be Leia being the Luke of the OT. We just covered that." As in Farm Girl Leia. Oh, so Farm Girl Leia. So changing where the children went. Interesting. Farm Girl Leia getting trained by Yoda, losing a hand, destroying the Empire, or Kenobi turning to the dark side. It's fun to think about, isn't it?
Like, could you imagine a little, astute Luke Skywalker, all proper and Senate trained? He'd be such a toolbox, I think.
Such a weird alternate reality. But yeah, if Leia was to go on that, just personality wise, they're so different. I feel like Leia would be way more hard nosed and defiant against Vader for sure. Next up, we have League of Extraordinary Sixers. She asks, what if Kanan Jarrus did not die? Would Ahsoka still duel Vader and die as a result? I think that
well, they dueled before Kanan died.
Yeah, but I say Kanan's death happened after that. It was towards the end of the series. So really, it's the big thing would be the end game stuff, what happens with with Ezra and Thrawn and that showdown. Is it just Ezra versus Thrawn? Does Kanan
100%
go with Ezra to the Chimera and fight? If that's the case, do both of them get taken to Peridia? And what does that look like if Kanan and Ezra are on Peridia? I would imagine at that point it's just over for Thrawn. He just gets wiped out.
If Kanan doesn't die, that's just another force power asset for the Alliance that just makes their fight a bit simpler. You could argue once Luke shows up, he could help refine Luke. Let's say Ezra is the one that gets sucked out. He could kind of take Luke back in and be a bit of a de facto, not master, but an ally, someone to help him process his powers.
Yeah, for sure.
But you know what? That's a tough one to accept because his death is tragic as it is. That is just such a great moment now in Star Wars that I don't, as much as I love the character, I think I love that moment and sacrifice even more. I would not like to see that what if League.
We'll see. Yeah. Good thing that he did die because it gave us some really good stuff. Next up, Mando Mugshot says, what if Disney used George's ideas for the sequels instead of the nonsense we had to endure after TFA?
Is it nonsense?
That's a hard...
Yeah, no, I'm kidding. It is kind of nonsense at this point, but...
it's a hard one. We've only heard... the thing is...
I'll give you the big pillar of George's pitch. Darth Maul was the big bad, and Talon was his side piece. Talon.
And the thing is it's really hard. We don't have too many details. We knew, like you said, we knew it was going to be Maul. We knew it was going to be Talon. That was probably going to be it. You're going to have, but in typical George fashion, it's you would probably have stories that were similar in construction to the prequel trilogy, and like if you were around during that time period, like even pre-internet, there was a lot of outrage around the prequel trilogy, like, and that's what caused George to essentially Luke Skywalker himself and you know, pull away from the galaxy, for lack of a better term.
You know what?
Like,
and listen, this is not political. I got yelled at last week for getting a little too political, and fans like, hey, you guys, and they're right. Like, there's no point these days to talk about that shit on this dumb show. But hopefully, people have been seeing all the Star Wars memes pop up about, damn, George Lucas has essentially predicted the future. We got like fucking trade wars potentially leading to galactic conflict going on right now. I was like, hey, man, we all made fun of George, but he was on to something. Long time ago, he realized the issues with trade disputes. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, it can definitely cause some issues. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is it's hard to, like, speculating in a universe is much more easy because you have the stories, the actual stories that happen, and you can make some logical leaps on where it would go. The Talon Maul thing is so hard because it's like, well, if that was the case, like, is Maul's involvement in Rebels and Clone Wars and all of that, does that still even happen? If
I believe so, because I mean, he was writing Clone Wars and before he gave that treatment. Here's what I'll say. So we move on here. If anything, if George's ideas were used, we would at least had a more coherent story throughout the 3 movies. It might not have been amazing. It might felt more like the prequels, maybe a bit like the OT, but it would have
one consistent voice.
It would have felt like one voice throughout, and that's the biggest problem with the sequels. It's after TFA, you get TLJ from a completely different human artist, and then you were supposed to have another completely different human artist make the final one, and it just a mess. It was a mess, and we'll leave it at that. All right, next one.
All right, next one. This is similar. This is Nova Toymation saying, give me a whole what-if series based off of George Lucas's scripts, outlines for the sequels, and animated show with full run on this. I mean, come on, people would watch. I mean, we just discussed that. I mean, it could be interesting as a what-if series. And then Limits of Ingenuity says, what of the Emperor killed
I like the
Luke
way this person thinks.
Dark Side, or Death Star 2 fired at the moon with all the rebels in it. Well, if that's the
game
case,
over, bitch, checkmate.
Game over. Yeah, Empire wins.
Yeah, that's checkmate, dude.
Yeah, if he kills Luke Skywalker, and then he kills Han Solo and Leia and
Chewie.
All the rebellion forces, and they win the air battle.
Oh yeah, it's over. They're gone.
The space battle. That's the easiest one.
People
Empire
forget
wins.
Everything we saw in the Battle of Endor. That was the Rebel Alliance. That was their full resources. That was their fleet. That was their ground troops. That's all they had. So yes, if this would have happened, Limits, it's over. He moves into checkmate. Plan success. See you later.
Miller time for Palpatine.
Exactly.
He knocks back
Miller
a brewski and lives out his days as Chancellor or Emperor of the Galaxy. That's it. So good stuff there. Thank you to everybody who participated in the question of the week to get involved. Make sure to follow us at Star Wars Time.
Miss B-Mad's question.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You said we still didn't get to it.
Hold on. I can get it on YouTube real quick if you want to keep talking.
Okay. Yeah. Follow us at StarWarsTime.show on the Instagram. Make sure to keep an eye out for our question of the week. Typically hits on Tuesdays, and submit your responses.
No, we talked about it. I'm stupid. Sorry. We're idiots. He's the one that said, what if they just jettisoned Anakin back to Tatooine? So my bad.
Oh yeah,
my bad.
We just hit that. Yeah, we just hit that. So we're moving on to the top 5 Star Wars fan artist features of the week. To get involved, same things. Follow us at StarWarsTime.show on Instagram. Tag us. Add tag at StarWarsTime.show in your Star Wars Instagram post. We're gonna go through this kind of fast because Matt's got a timer.
No, I'm good.
So
kid is home, but yeah, we can get through it. My kid is such a goddamn rock star at 8. I can literally send a text and they were like, hey, if you got to send her back and ask her to get in the tub. No questions asked. She walks right in and I can hear her run in the tub right now. That is
Look at that.
A champion. Because I am
child right there.
a hero dad. Thank you.
There you go. Kicking off with Visual Horizon toy photo. Visual Horizon toy photo gives us an awesome look at a custom Umbra operative ARC trooper taking down some B1 battle droids on the battlefield. Just absolutely blowing these guys away. I love the skew. I know that we don't see this often, but like the turn, like how the photo is kind of turned on its side.
Yeah, the perspective is pretty cool.
This cool perspective.
See you, League. Thanks, Imperial.
Thanks everybody for tuning in. But yeah, like seeing that new perspective there. Custom Trooper looks awesome. Posing on the B1s that are being shot through the chest and head look awesome, and that planet in the background also gives this a cool depth of field on the shot here. So good stuff here from Visual Horizon toy photo.
Imperial's asking if we have an email. Yeah, we should have a contact over on the site if you want to send something over, or I believe support@starwarstime.net will work as well. I think we have our own. I know mine still works. I don't know if yours is set up, but there's also a matt@starwarstime.net.
Yeah, there you go. And then I think I still have mine set up too.
Yeah, there's ways to reach us. DM on socials I look at too. We're very responsive because we are sadly a small channel, so we have that capability. I guess that's a pro, right, Nick, of being a small channel.
You can find us. We're easy to get in touch with.
And I'll hoe myself any way you want. So, you never know. All right. Great work here from Visual Horizon Toy Photo. We've definitely been watching their career with great interest, and they get better and better each week. Coming to us from France, by the way. So,
yeah, that's French toy photo force. That's Betty Ione. There's a lot of good French photographers out there. Faux show. All right. Next up, we got Corey K Figures on Instagram, and they're giving us this General Grievous Bandai model kit.
It's a great model kit. I built it years ago, and it's a very fun build, even for someone that doesn't have a lot of patience like me.
There you go. But he gives us a bunch of shots of this 1/12 scale Grievous, and I gotta say, man, they all look sick. This first slide here in the show,
fantastic posing, man. Just great posing,
excellent. On all slides, you get them with lightsabers out and without lightsabers out. Just an absolutely incredible looking figure of Grievous here. Grievous, one of the coolest looking motherfuckers in the galaxy for sure. And then the lightsaber effects, posing, all of that really good and on point here.
Well, hell, there's even a back shot. So Corey.K.Figures has all angles covered with this fig. Check him out on Instagram.
That's right. Next up, we got Clone Trooper mugshots, and what are they giving us today? They're giving us some Neil from Skeleton
I miss
Crew.
Neil.
Neil's bring Neil back, man.
We got his species. I don't know if I'm saying this right or if it. I know I'm close, but it's like a Mickeyan, Myyykin, a Mickeyan, I believe.
Mickeyan, yeah, something like that. Or a cousin of the Ortolan.
There you go.
Maybe.
There you go. Of course.
But what we did, Neil is he's back out in the galaxy again, exploring. He's turning into a galactic explorer. And what has he found? Some decommissioned B1 battle droids on a snowy planet.
He's an elephant Indiana Jones.
Yeah, he is. He needs a little top hat. He needs a little fedora as
Get him a laser whip like Vernestra.
Yeah. Dude, that would be the perfect arc for Neil. If they turned Neil into Star Wars Indiana Jones, that'd be
especially when he gets
awesome.
Old enough and he gets his man tusk like his dad had. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Dude. Neil.
Neil. All right. That is Clone Trooper mugshots.
Indeed. Next up, we have Toy Realms. Toy Realms giving us an awesome look at
she's a badass. Toy Realms is a badass.
Okay, yes. She killer shot here. So we see,
and she always writes a story, Nick. I don't know if you noticed that. Every post has a story to the picture.
Yeah, like a whole caption to it, and then that way you can delve into the narrative that Toy Realms is telling here with this shot. So we got Mandalorian had thought Kawil must have been exaggerating about the benefits of his blurgs. That is until they were attacked during a storm by remnant stormtroopers. So that's the intro to it there.
You got that blurg chew on one of them. They're firing at him. I mean, you got Din up there blasting them.
Just absolutely fantastic use of, like, whether it's like an air gun to kick up the sand in the background. The posing is on point. Like you said, getting the full stormtrooper in the blurg's mouth. This setup and execution here by Toy Realms is absolutely on point.
It's probably one of my favorite effects, that particle effect. You're out there in the natural light. You got the sun behind you. You poof up some sand or fine dirt. I love it. It's like one of my favorite things to do when I was really into the hobby and shooting the 1/12 scale like Toy Realms here. Or these might be baby ones. These might even be the 3 3/4 inch. Either way, they're awesome. Her name's Toy Realms, all one word, Instagram.
That is right. And then the final one.
You're musing on quick picks these days, huh?
Yeah, Quick Picks, they've been given some good stuff. So Quick Picks toys here with the duo shot of the twins from A New Hope. You got Leia, you got Luke in their whites shooting the laser pistols at oncoming stormtroopers as they fight their way through Death Star 1 and ANH. I mean, it's just an awesome shot. I love how they brought the light down. They have some shadowing over their face that makes the red of the lasers pop a bit more, and it also I don't know, it just makes that shot look so cool with that dim light there. I really like that use of dim light there on these.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about Quick Picks last week. I think they're a master poser. I do like how their shots are usually low light. I mean, sometimes that's even harder than when you have all the lights at your disposal. And really good at kind of remaking scenes and making them feel alive. So this is Quick Picks Toys, all one word, on the IG.
Indeed. Well, that's it. That's the end of the top 5, and that's the end of our show for this week. So, Matt, go ahead and close.
You got it, buddy. Another fun one, people. Hopefully you dug all of our what if ideas. And even if you're like a Letty, we still love you, even if I said some horrible things about their family. Things, things get a little goofy at the start of the show when I got people coming in here trying to take a pee on my face. But I had another blast. Great seeing you all in here. Imperial Activity, Thronkill, League, Johnny. No Bat today. Hopefully he's all right. B-Mad showing up. Sir Dork, Mando Pirate. All our friends. No Divided either. Hopefully she's all right. But we love you. We speak your names. That's why we do what we do, to be honest with you. It's always fun to come here, hang out Wednesday night with young Nick. And those of you in the live stream chat. And you know what? We also appreciate all you in podcast land. So don't forget, in between Wednesdays when we do our lives, the show will go up Thursdays on podcast platforms. You can find all that good stuff over on StarWarsTime.net. We've got our Dr. Aphra deep dive podcast with our AI hosts over on that site right now. We've got Potential Skeleton Crew Season 2 plot threads on that site, plus all of our old podcasts archive. You can also get our socials and easily follow us from StarWarsTime.net. All right, my friends, you know how we do it. There's always time for Star Wars Time. And if you listen to the Star Wars Time show, the Force will be with you always.